Hey guys, Scott here with a new beer dissection video for you today. I've got kind of a classic one that you can readily get in the stores, but Founders Centennial IPA. I know most people are very familiar with Founders when it comes to their all-day IPA. Founders has been around for a while. They make I think a breakfast stout. They make a porter. And they were bought out by Big Beer, so sometimes people stick their nose up at them a little bit because of that fact alone, thinking maybe quality has dropped. I don't know. I'll take your word for it, take your opinion on it if you think so. I think they produce some pretty solid beers. I picked this one up as well as a couple others that were West Coast IPAs, and I put together a beer face-off video. But this is using, and why it's called Centennial IPA, it's using exclusively Centennial hops, which is the Pacific Northwest hops. Similar to Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale that uses strictly Cascade for, and when I say strictly, for bittering, for flavor, for aroma, possibly even dry hopping. So this one is using exclusively Centennial. So if you want to give yourself a little education about the subtleties of different hop varietals, you pick up a beer like this, or if you see at your local homebrew store, a smash, single malt, and single hop, you can kind of get an idea of that aroma and flavor if you're that type of beer geek. So again, Sierra Pale Ale is Cascade. This one's Centennial. So there's not much more on here. I think it's about 7.2 if I remember correctly here. Yeah, 7.2% alcohol, 65 IBUs, international bitters units. So that's kind of sitting, IPA, but like right on the verge of being considered double IPA. You start getting around that 7.5 or higher. But nowadays, especially in the United States, we always seem to throw more alcohol in it, more hops in it versus the forefather of IPA in Great Britain, okay, or UK. So 7.2%, and the can date is, it's getting a little bit up there. The canning date was the end of December of 22. I'm sitting here in May. I'm actually very close to, actually the beginning of June 2nd of 23. So we got 6 months. If it was stored properly, it's in a can, so we're not getting any light struck character from this. If it's stayed reasonably cool and taken care of, this should still be reasonably fresh, or at least fresh enough for my purposes here. All right, so let's crack this bad boy open. I'm just using my regular tulip pint. You know what? I don't know if I've had this before, at least at the filming of this video. I know I've had Founders beers. I've had a lot of Sierra Nevada Pale Ales, of course, the Voodoo Ranger brand Pale Ales. This one I'm not too sure about. So this is, I think, a West Coast IPA. So with this, you're going to be expecting a little bit more malt backbone to it versus just strictly a hop bomb like you would get in a New England IPA, hazy, juicy IPA. So which I actually prefer, but I drink all different styles of beer. And they're probably using pale malt, and the way I'm looking at it, they may even use some crystal malt. So let's take a look at the head. I still pour things pretty aggressively. Pretty light tan, dense head, pretty tight bubbles. It looks like it's going to persist for a little bit. You almost get a little frothing on the top, so that's nice. Color of this, you kind of got that medium, light to medium amber color, pretty clear. And with West Coast IPAs, remember, you're expecting them to be clear, okay? Unlike your New England or your hazies that sometimes use oats. And if you've watched more than 2 of my videos, you've heard me say this: oats, wheat, unmalted wheat. It creates some of that haze to it. West Coast IPAs are usually sparkling, clear, okay? But again, this is a nice light amber to medium amber color, very clear. Let's take a sniff of the aroma. Okay, so you definitely get that citrus, slight grapefruit, but you also get pine, which again, nothing should be surprising when you're dealing with the Pacific Northwest with what I'm saying right now. Little toast, almost like bread crust, light toast on the malt aroma. Okay, but again, that citrus, funny. I get like almost like a little pineapple in there. I don't think it's really, blown away with it, but maybe it's just what I'm perceiving between the pine and the citrus that's making me perceive that. But it's not very strong either way. But it smells nice. Pretty standard for West Coast IPAs. Nothing too original here. Since there's so many new hop varietals coming out all the time. This one, and this beer's been around for a little bit, and when you get your little niche of customers with a particular beer, you're going to probably just brew it consistently, or as consistently as you can. So anyway, guys, cheers. Let's take a taste of this. Kind of medium carbonation. I'm getting immediately that malt, bread crust, light toast, even like a challah bread type of crust. So there's definitely some backbone to this as far as malt is concerned, and that is typical for West Coast IPA. On the aftertaste, that malt lingers. Kind of medium-bodied. No alcoholic warmth, even though I'm approaching it at 7.2. I'm getting there because around 7.5, 8, I start getting that warmth. Kind of that, like I said, medium body, medium mouth feel. Sometimes with this, I'm getting a little bit more of that. I call it the coating. Like you kind of get that as it rests across the palate, the bottom, around your tongue and your palate. You almost feel like this filmy sensation. It's not unpleasant. It's not like a film like you're expecting, like you're drinking water and you get a film. This is just from probably some of the residual sweetness, hops, and just the body in general. Definitely a pronounced bitterness, and you get that with New England West Coast IPAs. Remember, New England IPAs, you're going to be heavy with the hop flavor and aroma, less bitterness. West Coast IPA, you may get a lot of flavor and aroma, but there's usually more pronounced bitterness, and that's good for cutting through certain dishes and when you're eating and pairing things, especially with some fat and brie cheeses and things like that, or your blue cheeses. Okay, but there is citrus and that pine that still sits with this. Again, what you would expect from Centennial hops. I've been a home brewer for a majority of 25 years, and I've used Centennial hops, so it definitely kind of fits right along my memory of it. Okay. Yeah, pretty nice. It's pretty, nothing spectacular about it. But it is hitting the style, guidelines in my head, or my perception with West Coast IPAs I've had pretty consistently. So it's pretty nice. Again, I just wanted to go through one more time. Citrus, pineapple, a touch of pineapple, but citrus and pine, that's what I meant to say. Crusty brioche, biscuit top, challah bread top, kind of malt profile. So there is a backbone to this of malt. So if you're looking at West Coast IPAs or a lot of these Pacific Northwest hop beers, you're looking for that. Grade-wise, it's pretty average. I mean, nothing spectacular about it. I'd probably give it like a B-, B. It's just nothing over the top, but it is a consistently made beer. You know what you're getting every can you're getting every time you take it. I probably prefer Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale over this, even though that's more of an American Pale Ale. This is a West Coast IPA. The West Coast IPA is going to have a little bit more malt backbone to it. Definitely more than, say, New England IPAs, but a little bit more than a regular American IPA. So they're probably using some crystal malt in here. But, guys, pretty good. I mean, like I said, I remember what I said, B-, B. We're kind of that average range. Like I said, I like reviewing beers like this because, sometimes you can get to your local beer store. You have your vast selection. Sometimes you're in the grocery store. You don't want to go to 3-4 different stores. You want to grab a consistent IPA. And this one's good. I actually like this better than the All Day IPA. The All Day IPA, again, is more, if I recall, more hop focused. This one definitely is hop focused because it's an IPA with the Centennial, but you're going to get a little bit more maltiness. So if you're looking for that, I would go with this Centennial IPA from Founders. All right, guys. So latest beer dissection video. Till next time, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.